The Firekeepers Casino 400 race in Michigan saw a scary incident involving Corey LoJaoie. With just over 60 laps to go, the number 7 car was attempting to overtake Noah Gragson and suddenly found itself upside down on the track. This was a very scary accident, and Corey was lucky to walk out without any major injuries. After the race, LoJaoie went on to blame Gregson for the entire incident. With just over 60 laps to go, Noah Gragson was a few car lengths in front of LoJaoie. Gregson had attempted an overtake on another car in front of him, but was not successful. In failing the overtake, Gregson had also lost momentum, allowing LoJaoie to catch up to him. As LoJaoie pulled his car to the left side to overtake, there was a slight impact, and the number 7 car started to turn and then suddenly just took off and flipped in the air. It landed upside down on the tarmac and slid onto the grass where it was turned back around. Before we continue, we provide the best and latest news on NASCAR, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button so we can keep you updated. LoJaoie analyzed the footage from the race and came to the conclusion that Noah Gragson was to be blamed. He didn't really use me up necessarily, but I got to the top burned in, and I was making hay, and he just closed it a couple times real late. LoJaoie said on his Stacking Pennies podcast while showing in-car footage of what he was talking about. When someone's coming with that amount of speed, you usually leave a lane. I was kind of good with if he just spun off my bumper there at that point in time, because he had done it a lot before that even as well, LoJaoie explained. That didn't happen, so he closed that off, a little bit frustrated, LoJaoie said. Get a run. Tried to get to his left rear to pull him around, and probably a combination of me not giving enough margin for error, and he comes to the left, probably a foot, and that thing got airborne quickly. There was a big headwind from turn 3 into turn 2, like 12 to 15 miles an hour. You're going about 182, 185 there. Obviously, that was a concoction for a liftoff. So I hit him and I started spinning out. I'm like, damn it, just lock it down. Try to keep this thing going, LoJaoie said. I'll drive around with flats on and we'll put tires on it and we'll still try. I was thinking about all that in the span of it getting sideways. Then it picked up and I'm like, oh shit, I'm flying through the air. Looking at the replay from the car behind LoJaoie, Gregson can be seen slightly turning left to defend a bit too late. By the time Gregson had decided to lock, LoJaoie was already by his side. This is why LoJaoie is blaming the accident on Gregson. However, NASCAR is not investigating the accident itself and will not give any penalties for Gregson. Over the years, NASCAR has taken several safety measures to ensure that cars don't take off like it did last race. In 2022, NASCAR even introduced the next-gen cars, which increases the total downforce generated. Downforce is simply the force that is pushing the car downwards, giving it more traction. It also keeps the car from taking off. Despite the increased downforce, LoJaoie's car took off. So NASCAR will now be scrambling in their offices to find out where the flaw is in their design and how to rectify it. The last race in Michigan was not the first time things had not gone LoJaoie's way this season. That's just about the way the year's gone, LoJaoie said, disappointed in yet another tough finish, speaking with NBC Sports after exiting the infield care center. You know, we have a good car, and I find a way to flip it upside down. Twice this year, we've been upside down, and I haven't been upside down in my whole career. Unfortunately, that's the year for our number 7 team. We've had speed, just haven't been able to put it all together. But the number 10 chopped me a couple of times, especially off turn 2, and I had a run. And I don't know, I haven't seen the replay yet. If he pulled it off the wall when I was trying to get his left rear, it was a ride, buddy. There's like rocks and dust and dirt, and my eyes are kind of like closed because my stuff. Like there's sparks and stuff hitting me in the face. I'm like, why am I getting stuff in my eye here? I'm like, oh, my visor's open. So I shut my visor and I'm holding my visor like this. Then I hit the wall upside down and the wheel like rips out of my hand. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm still going pretty fast. Let me grab my seatbelts. Then I got into the grass and I was like, ugh, ugh, ugh. Bigger than a softball-sized clump of grass landed right in my lap. After the race in Michigan, LoJaoie sits only in 31st place, with almost no chance of qualifying for the playoffs with just points. If he hopes to take part in the playoffs, he needs to win a race, which looks very unlikely considering the performance of his car at the moment. LoJaoie is not only fighting for the playoffs, but also for his future in NASCAR. Just a couple of weeks back, Spire Motorsports announced that Corey LoJaoie will not return to the team after this season. So now LoJaoie has to search for another seat for the 2025 season, or else he could be forced into early retirement. But coming back to the accident, there's no doubt that tumbling on the tarmac or the grass is dangerous for the drivers. Despite NASCAR's best efforts to keep the car on the ground, the number 7 took off. NASCAR has been working continuously for years to make the cars more safe. One of the top priorities of this work has been to keep the car on the ground and avoid it from taking off. They even installed flaps onto the car which will open up to slow the car and prevent it from taking off. During the accident, the flaps did come out, but it didn't stop the car from taking off. While the accident looks very dangerous, Denny Hamlin seems to think that it's not as dangerous as it looks, from the driver's point of view. "Yes, it's not a concern on my end. Yes, I'd rather flip over than hit a wall," Denny Hamlin said on his Actions Detrimental podcast. "I guess statistically speaking, there's always anomalies. There's always instances where cars go airborne, and we had that instance at Talladega with Brad Keselowski, Ryan Newman. We've had cars get up in the catch fences, and there's been some collateral damage from that. But generally speaking, I feel from a driver's safety perspective, we haven't had a whole lot of flips equal bad injuries. We've had contact with wall equal bad injuries. One just looks more violent than the other," Denny Hamlin said. "When you flip over and the thing starts tumbling, right, people are thinking, 'Oh my gosh, look at all the hard hits he's taking.' It's not really. It's more just like I would think a spin cycle, right? It's not any really hard hit, it's just a bunch of real small ones. It's just when you hit in these cars, especially flat-sided or nosing in. That's that one big spike, and that's what really can cause injuries. I just think that cars flipping over has happened for forever. And it's going to continue to happen, and slowing us down is not the answer," Denny Hamlin said. "You're just going to make us run closer together and cause more contact, and cause more cars to flip. So I think it's just a product of it. I didn't really see anything wrong, and it was a unique situation where he turned sideways at 185 miles per hour against probably a headwind that helped this thing flip over." Denny Hamlin thinks that crashing into the wall is much more dangerous than tumbling. When the car flips, the scene looks very dramatic. But since the car continues to roll and slows down instead of stopping all of a sudden, the damage is somewhat contained. But when crashing into the wall, the car is traveling at around 185 miles per hour and is coming to a sudden stop. This is much more dangerous for the drivers as it could cause significant damage to the body of the car, which could injure the driver as well. Although NASCAR have installed barriers to ease the impact on the wall, it's still not 100% safe. It's only as safe as it can be in NASCAR. Besides, motorsports can never be 100% safe. Do you think NASCAR has done enough to keep their drivers as safe as possible? Or does the Lajoie incident indicate that NASCAR is doing something wrong? Also, do you agree with Denny Hamlin when he says that crashing into the wall is much more dangerous than tumbling? Post your thoughts in the comment section below.